Hey everyone, Tesla Tom here. Thanks so much for joining us on Ludicrous Feed. We're in our Tesla Model 3 Performance Stealth this morning using software update 2020.12.11.1. We're going to go for a drive this morning on Sydney's North Shore on the Pacific Highway, and we're going to use Autopilot as much as we can and also check out some of the full self-driving visualizations. Alright, so once I turn right onto Pacific Highway northbound, we'll engage Autopilot and we'll just see how well the car goes. I won't put it on Navigate on Autopilot, just a basic Autopilot, which is essentially, cruise control with traffic awareness and also auto steer and lane keeping. Alright, so to engage, I'm going to indicate 2 shakes down with the right stalk, like that. As you can see, got the car between the 2 blue tram tracks there. And occasionally the car will ask me to touch the wheel, waggle the wheel, just to make sure I'm still alive and still awake. See that, how that's green and a red there? That's the double row of traffic lights that the car can't cope with just yet. Alright, so we'll see how far we can go up the highway without manually driving. So if this was Navigate on Autopilot, it would be one straight blue line. That's basically the car getting me to where I want to go. That's the easiest way I can explain Navigate on Autopilot, whereas basic Autopilot is just, like I said, glorified cruise control with some lane keeping. Alright, see this, I've got to disengage because that car zoomed ahead of the red, well, of the amber light, and I wasn't going to make it, so I had to stop because, like I said, it doesn't react to traffic lights just yet. And had I gone through, I would have run the red. Not good, so that's okay. This is where human interaction is still very much required to pay attention and to make sure the right thing is done. So once we drive off, I'll engage again. Alright, so to engage, the grey steering wheel must come up as well in that top left corner. There we go. Alright, back on basic Autopilot. So school zones aren't in effect yet. It's only 7:38, so not quite. Yeah, this person in front of me didn't need to go so slow, but that's okay. It's still 60 kilometers an hour, but that's fine. We'll just follow for now. I could lane change, I guess, but happy to follow. I'm always impressed with how well the car keeps the lane. For the most part, it does drive the middle. Occasionally it does like to veer to one side for some reason. I'm going to engage a lane change. This is where it's really cool. That car basically changed the lane for me. All I had to do was indicate. Ooh, see that? Yeah, it does that sometimes. When the lane markings disappear across intersections, that's when car panics a little bit and loses track. That's why I've got my hands on the wheel to take over at any time. Alright, like I said, it's not 60 kilometers an hour. Sorry, it's not 40 kilometers an hour yet. It's only 740. So I'm in my right to go at 60 at this stage. Okay, engaging on the lane change. More lane markings on the road there. Should be a rubbish bin on our left, yes. Might do a drive through one of the neighbourhoods when it's bin day, and we'll see lots of bins on the screen. Another Tesla, might wave to them, no wave back. That's okay, we still wave. We still wave. Right, it's doing a pretty good job so far. So we're going to drive all the way up to pretty much the mouth of the M1 motorway at Wahroonga, and that'll give us a very nice snapshot of where this car is at currently in May 2020 with regards to basic autopilot. I'm going to switch back to the left lane. Alright, so we're coming up to a red light, but that's okay because there's a car ahead of me. So what it's going to do is basically come to a stop. Again, if I was the first car, I would certainly take over at this point because the car would just zoom ahead. It doesn't react to this line at this stage just yet. Interesting that this car is blacked or greyed out. I think that's just the car that it's following in terms of the traffic aware cruise control. What I do love too is when when the light goes green and the car goes off, it follows it very nicely from zero basically. So, I mean, I've never seen a car do that. It's pretty amazing. I've got it on number 2 follow, I believe. Just check for you. Alright, that was number 3. Let's go number 2. Yeah, I'll let number 2. It's a good Sydney setting. Any closer would be tailing. Any further away, cars will cut ahead of you. So I quite like number 2. Oh, rubbish bins. It's not reading. What we've got here in Australia is they're not sort of carpool lanes, but they're sometimes we've got T2 and T3 lanes here in Sydney, which is the ruling is that if it's like T2, you must have at least 2 occupants in the vehicle. If it's T3, you must have at least 3. So that's something the car will need to sort out. And I guess we can use sensors in the car, so if we can detect another human in the, in the passenger seat, or another human in the back for T3, then it knows you can use that lane. If it's just a single occupant, like the driver, for example, then it knows not to use that lane. So that's something the AI will have to deal with, and the programming will have to deal with one day. Alright, so we're coming up to a little bit busier traffic. That's fine. The car still follows the car ahead quite nicely. The traffic is never that bad nowadays with the pandemic restrictions. People are still not driving as much as they were. Which is fine by me, really. I get to drive around with less traffic. Okay, so we're coming up to the crossroad with Monavale Road or Ryde Road. So we're kind of halfway in our journey now. Done a pretty good job, I would think, apart from that one traffic light so far back at Linfield when a car ahead of me tried to beat the red, so I was stuck having to cancel autopilot. So far so good. See, my feet are always kind of near the pedals. If I was doing a long road trip, I would just rest my foot probably on the ground, but given I'm in the city, or at least in a suburban environment, I generally have my feet closer to the pedals just in case. And my hands are kind of always either on the wheel or very close to a dancing light there. Right, lights have turned green. Let's see how responsive the car is this time. It's pretty good. Pretty smooth. There's a no entry wrong way sign, which the car will have to react to one day. It is nice in stop-start traffic. Okay, so there was a keep clear sign on the ground which the car hasn't reacted to or hasn't seen yet. So again, something we'll have to, yeah, we'll have to cancel because that lane on the left was ending. Didn't want to risk. So just back on there. So I thought the car would slow down there, but it didn't. So didn't see any chevrons or anything. Because that lane on the left was ending, and the lane markings were sort of heading this way too. So that'd be nice if the car could react to that one day with future updates. That when the left lane is ending and you're in the one adjacent to it, and cars are trying to get in, then it would slow down. But this car just kept going at 60, so that's why I took over. But back to my point about the keep clear at the intersection. That was near a fire station, so the car didn't see the markings on the ground. So I'm hoping with future updates there will be that'll be present, and the car will know eventually when it's on full self-driving to keep clear of those intersections where it needs to be cleared. Alright, just heading to Pymble now. A couple more suburbs before we get to Wahroonga. Some more cones there on your left. Anything that looks orange and white, it'll pick up as a cone. Any safety marker. I would say 95% of the time we've used Autopilot now. There's another ending lane. This time there's no lane markings, so small lights and bins. You tend to have multiple lights at any intersection, and sometimes, especially in Sydney, the roads aren't always perpendicular to each other at intersections, just the way our topography is. So sometimes the light can be seen from your side. The car may mix that up. So again, something the car will have to look at, Tesla will have to look at in the future. Okay, so we're coming up to an interesting point there where the lane is ending, but we've got sort of traffic markings. It says there are no lines marked, so we just got cones. So does the car react to cones, or does it just freak out? Let's see. That wasn't too bad, actually. That wasn't too bad at all. They've got markings here because they do change the direction of the lanes depending on what time of day it is. You saw that with the example on the Sydney Harbour Bridge with time of day lane direction. So sometimes in Sydney we've got that, we've got cones and traffic markings to change it. It's funny that took a while to get going that time, but we're off. So we're just in Turramurra, quite north now. More cones on your right. It's a lot of cones. Like I said, not really cones, they're just traffic markings, that orange and white. Whoa. Yeah, I took over there. That car just swerved to the right. Or my car, rather. Probably freaked that poor guy out. Okay, so left lane ends. So what I'm going to do is just manually merge to my right before I let's back on cruise control. There we go. I'll just manually merge right. Then engage Autopilot again. I will have to try lane ending and see what happens. I mean, I'm on basic Autopilot, so I assume it's not going to change the lane for me. But one day when I'm using Navigate on Autopilot and see whether the car gets out of a lane that ends. Okay, I'm gonna change lanes here. Very nice. Alrighty guys, well I might finish the video there. Thanks for watching guys, stay safe. Hope you enjoyed that. Looking forward to your comments. And as always, happy charging.